I'm Ed Edmonds with Distortions Unlimited, and you're watching Monster Lab Live. Now, we're going to try to answer your questions, as many as we can, and as efficiently as we can. So please feel free to ask questions. Now, mostly it's about Monster Lab, but you can ask anything, and we'll try to get to them. So anyway, I hope you guys like Monster Lab. That is something that we've enjoyed. We're planning on stepping up the amount of video we do. We're starting to be rewarded by YouTube, and so we're going to try to do a lot more and try to up our game a little bit and try to do as good a video production as we can. So anybody got any questions? I'm ready, because I'm going to answer your questions.
So here's a question that we get a lot, and that is, we covered it in the last video, but what kind of clay do we use the most at Distortions?
Okay, so that is probably the most asked question. It's wed clay. It stands for Walter E. Disney. And this stuff is an industry standard. It just doesn't get any better than wed clay. Now, it's a water-based clay. I shouldn't say that. If you're, depending on what you're doing, you might want to use an oil-based clay, like if you're doing an appliance or something, you're sculpting thin on plaster. But wed clay is really, boy, once you try it, it's hard to go back to anything else. It's very creatively fluid and fast, and you can dry it and works better and better. But wed clay, that's it.
Okay, we have another question from eCoop's videos, and that's, what is your favorite animatronic that we make?
Oh, my favorite, you know, I've always said the electric chair. I'm having a little bit of a relationship now with a brand new product we made called Master Disaster. And the thing I love about Master Disaster is it's kind of fantasy, magical, weird, and then it scares them real good. But then it's so weird that I think they start laughing. That's what we're expecting now. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to test it live, but it's got that potential. I really, really like that combination of terror and laughter. I don't know why, but that's what I like. So maybe it's a tie between that and the electric chair.
So we have another question, and that's about, do you still use the formula 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 for latex?
Almost.
And explain that.
Okay, this is another thing that's really important. And I learned this back when everything was a black box. Nobody was talking, and you couldn't find things out. I think I tried 100 different ways to paint a mask, and it all cracked off. And so, a gal that worked at the Party Palace, Helen Faust, called a mask manufacturer and said, "Hey, I've got one of your masks and the paint's cracking off. I can't figure out how to fix it," which was a little bit of a fib. But anyway, so they gave her this formula. I've used it ever since. It's a dream come true. So it's 1 part house paint. Now, it's indoor house paint. That's really important because the outdoor stuff has some nasty chemicals. 1 part indoor house paint, 1 part latex, and 1 part water, or a little less. Depends on what you're spraying it through. If you're spraying it through an air gun, probably 1 part water. If you're going through a quart sprayer, maybe 3/4 of the amount. So it works wonderfully. We love it. It's very stretchy, very easy to use. Inks go on it.
We have a question from Bryce. What suggestion would you have to someone that is wanting to start their own mask making company or animatronic company?
Thanks, Bryce. You need to make sure you love it, because it's going to work you hard. You know, there's things you can get into, like real estate or insurance or something, that you'll work hard and so forth. But when you get into something people really love to do, man, you got to work hard, long hours, and it's harder labor than it looks like. I think a lot of times we make stuff look easy. It's actually physically hard. But as far as advice getting started, I would just absorb everything you can. There's certainly Monster Labs, many, many others. You know, Jordan Duda's films, Stan Winston Studios has excellent films. Just absorb it, try it, experiment, and keep at it. Make sure you love the business, before you plunge in and, you know, quit your day job. I would do it as a hobby and start trying to make money with it. So that's my advice.
Question from Itzel Gomez. What is your favorite kind of alien?
Okay, I do like Roswell aliens. However, when I was a kid growing up, alien didn't mean almond eyes, big head. Alien could be 3 arms, purple, hairy, bald. I guess I would have to say this. Now there's like Alien, which is probably my favorite alien as far as a creative thing that Giger did for the movie. My personal favorite is Six Fingers. So my preference is mammal based, and I understand Giger's Alien has bug elements, but it also has a human skull and its spinal cord. My tendency is to like aliens that are human, mammal, I should say, not bug and reptile. Even though I'm not prejudiced, I like them all. But that's my preference, and I like the idea that they're smarter than you. They can crush you with their thoughts. That kind of guy.
So another question. Do we have plans for a Monster Lab showing people how to do animatronics or an animatronic head or anything like that?
You know, we do, and we've been talking about this for years. We want to get in the shop with Mike Glover and sit down and go through this thing. It's actually like how I show you sculpting. It's pretty simple. It's complicated when you start doing a lot of cylinders and things, but in principle, it's a very simple concept. You have an air cylinder and you have a valve, and you send the valve information and it pushes the air cylinder in and out. And so it's just a matter of welding it in place and experimenting. And then the control systems that we use, us and just about everybody in the business, are the Fright Ideas boo boxes. We love them. Super simple, and you can bring a monster to life very simply and very inexpensively. As compared to what it was 20 years ago, it was tough.
Great question here coming up. How do you get dried latex out of your beard or hair?
That actually, I know the answer to that, because I've done it. You need to not rip it out, because you'll be sorry, but you get in the shower with soap or shampoo and just lather it up really good. Take a comb with you and you can just slick it out. So as you can see, I've had that problem, and but you got it really lathered up, get really wet, and it'll just come out like nobody's business.
We have a question from Mr. I.
Hello, Mr. I.
What is your favorite practical effect from the 80s, from movies?
Oh, I'm such a sucker for Alien. It's got to be the chestburster scene from the original Alien movie. That sent, I mean, there's incredible things Dick Smith did with Exorcist and stuff, but that one sent people out of the theater. People were like, I'm not sure I can take this. Now this is, of course, back a while, 79, I believe. Of course, 73 was Exorcist, and that was chasing them out of the theater too. I mean, people were, if you get a chance, go on YouTube, look at audience reactions to The Exorcist. It is so amazing. It was a different world then. And I went and I got shook up. The subliminal filming actually freaked me out. That's our choo-choo. We'll have to deal with that every so often. The chestburster scene from the original Alien movie, that, and the director was clever in that the actors knew something was up. They didn't really know, so it scared them too, and you could see it. It was a great practical effect.
Okay. We had a hello from Alabama.
Hello, Alabama.
We also have a question. Who designs our prop line, or how do all these designs come to pass, like the 2020 design or props?
Well, you know, something we've done recently. Now, in the past, we used to do group sessions with all our employees. We had a lot of employees and things, and it wasn't netting very much. You know, they come up with rubber Christmas trees and things like this, and we're like, the crew we have now is actually, they're so ingrained with the industry, and they know it so well. They've seen so much that we've started to have all company meetings, and everybody comes up with stuff. And I mean, it's some amazing stuff. And in fact, I think Master Disaster, which is my favorite, that was Adam's idea, who's asking the questions. And so, but sometimes customers will come up with ideas. We've used customer ideas and drawings and lots of just everywhere. We'll see a movie, we'll see something that'll trigger an idea. In the end, Marcia and I usually sit down and wrestle with things in terms of, is that something we can make affordably and things like this. But we get ideas from everywhere, anybody, anywhere.
Let's see. From a question from Michael McFarland, where do we get supplies?
Hello, Michael. You need to be friends with Reynolds. Reynolds is all over the country, and they have just everything. They have, now I can't speak for all the stores, but I think they would have the pottery plaster we use, the wet clay we use, a variety of tools. These all came from Reynolds. There's places like Ken's Tools that we get stuff from. They're a specialty supplier, but Reynolds is one of the best. If you can find something, there and an incredibly good source of things to make props, especially when you get a little more sophisticated, as fright props. Fright props, they have just exploded in the last, I don't know, 5-10 years. You can get anything you can dream up just about to make monsters. So that's a really excellent source. Monster Makers is another good source. There's a lot. You can get on the internet and look around. Those are some of the main ones, but they no problem finding these guys nowadays, and some of them are really, really good.
So someone mentioned they and their mom may be coming to Monster Day.
Yay!
Really. So you have anything to say about Monster Day?
Well, now we're not sure. We're all kind of holding our breath. We have not talked to the city since the hammer fell. I'm hoping that it's far enough away we'll get over this thing, and it will happen. But you'll just have to check. There's a Monster Day website that the city does. So it would be Monster Day Greeley, is that correct? Yes. Monster Day Greeley, we've got a Monster Day Colorado, we've got a Monster World, which is an event within the event. And so you'll just have to check. You can check with us too, to see if it's going, but the date's set and everything.
August 22nd.
Marcia says August 22nd. That is something I did not know.
We have a question from Eddie Thompson.
I like the name, Eddie. I think that's very good, very regal.
Does Distortions offer tours after the virus clears up, of course?
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I just gave the FedEx driver a tour yesterday. So yeah, we do tours. You just need to set it up. You can email us, and now if you're out of town and you're in the area and you're not getting a response real quick, try to get a hold of us more diligently. But yeah, we do tours. We try to group them together as much as possible.
Yeah, Janine schedules all those.
Yeah, Janine Johnson is your contact for tours, and she's a very good tour master.
Someone had asked about if we have any plans to do monster movies.
You know, we're starting to think about that. There's actually a rocket shelter in Welcome County. A guy showed me pictures of it. I thought, wow, if they'd let us shoot a film in there, it would be so cool. Now, this was back, I don't know, 50s or 60s. They made this underground rocket thing. The rocket's no longer there, but we've talked about it. Honestly, that's a ways off. The thing that we're toying with right now is, and we'll try to do it this year, and that is to kind of simulate shorts similar to what Making Monsters was. Now, we're in no way talented like Warm Springs was. And it's, trust me, it looks like they're just holding a camera and filming us. Oh no, they've got rails and lights. They would have, sometimes there would be more of them than us. We'd be in the conference room and there'd be 6 or 7 of us, and there was more of them crowding around with all the lights and things. It's a complex thing to make true art video. So we're going to take a stab at it. We have 4K capability. We have the best editing software, and we lighting, all the stuff. So we're gonna give it a shot. We'll see.
What is, from Hunter's Corner?
Hello, Hunter's Corner.
What is our favorite Distortions prop? Your favorite?
Well, prop. I think absolutely my favorite, because I always want one of these in the office. I always want to have one of these in the background, and it's that dude. That guy. I just love that. Jordu sculpted him, and Jordu Shell. And I don't know, he just nailed it. And so that's probably my current favorite. Been for quite a while.
So, what do you think about using RD407?
I think good. We used, from the very beginning, we got connected with R&D Latex, and Del Ashley was the guy, and we bought that stuff for years and years and years. And that is, of course, it's not them making it anymore. It's that formulation. That is near perfect. It's really, really good. I think, I don't know if this, what your source is. I'm not sure if that's Monster Makers or something. We're not buying that exactly. We buy tons of it, pallets of 50-gallon drums. But it is very, very good. It's hard to beat that stuff.
So we had someone named Brian Spencer said that he worked with you in Kersey at Distortions.
Where do you live, Brian? That's cool. The name, it doesn't ring a bell. I'm sure I would recognize you if I saw you, but boy, Kersey, that's like 2 to 3 lifetimes ago. My life is kind of divided into the places the business has been. I realized those were like chapters. As we would move, it was like a new chapter in our lives. And boy, those Kersey days, they were something. They were rough and wild.
We have a question from Stilt Beast Studios.
I know those guys. I love those guys.
Where did you get your shirt?
Oh, let's see. This is from, I think it's called Monsters Are Good. And it says Monster, and then it's Are Good. I like this shirt. And those guys are great. You can find them online. Maybe Amazon, but I'm sure you can Google search them and find them. But great guys, great shirts.
What was your favorite moment or episode of Making Monsters?
Okay, I think the moment that was like life-changing a little. That's probably too far. But they'd done a teaser, and they, what do they call it? Sizzle reel or something. And I saw a sizzle reel, and it was really good. And I thought, well, that's to sell the show and stuff. And so Lisa Tanzer, the showrunner, we were in Roswell, New Mexico, shooting that episode with the aliens and the flying saucer. And so we're sitting at the hotel, and Lisa goes, would you like to see a little bit of one of the episodes? Now, this is something TV networks don't like to do. And the reason is people go, I hate it. Oh no, I look fat or whatever. And they want to monkey with it. So it was very nice of her. And Lisa allowed us to look at maybe 10, 15 minutes. And I remember probably my jaw hit the table because every minute of the show was like the sizzle reel. I thought you know, like reality shows, they'll have some exciting moments when somebody's cussing and throwing wrenches, and then there's long periods of just turning bolts and things. And so that would have been, it could have been episode 1. I'm really not sure, but that was when I realized this was something special. And of course, it's hard for us to separate it from, because for us, it's like home movies, like really, really good home movies. But I felt like this, up till that point, it was like, que sera, sera, you know, if the show doesn't happen, at least we got this great sizzle reel. And then they picked up 4 shows, and it's like, que sera, sera. Well, even if it just lasts for 4 shows, at least we got 4 shows, and that's good. When I saw that, que sera, sera was over, and I told Lisa, I said, Lisa, this thing has to go on. So that was the moment that was probably most special. I go back, I've watched those occasionally, it's like, I don't remember that. I don't remember. It moves so fast. There's so much. It's so deep. There's so much going on. You can't hardly watch one watching and get it somehow.
We have a question from David. What is the blood formula that we use now? Do you still use Liquitex, or what is the blood formula?
Yes. Now there's many ways to arrive at this. My favorite, our go-to thing, is to use Liquitex gloss medium, and you know, we buy it like quart sizes, and then red food color, and then we're not that sophisticated. We just add a little bit of black until it's a little bit richer. Not much. Now this black is, you can either use black food color, which they have around Halloween time. You should stock up like at Walmart. Or you can just use universal pigments for tinting paint. Be very careful. It takes very little, just a few drops, and it'll shift that. Now, guys like Alan Hops, they're much more sophisticated. They're like green and blue, and you do this and 3 drops of that, and it's like, that's too complicated for us. We're pretty stone man. Yeah, that looks sick. Let's go with that. So I would say Liquitex, and it's almost now I gotta correct this. It's Liquitex gel. That's very important because the food color thins the gel out so that about the time it's just the right consistency, it's perfect. It's the right amount of food color with the gloss gel. So it's pretty simple and it looks good.
We have a hello from Mexico.
Mexico, that's awesome. Too bad Mondo's not here.
And we also have a hello from Stampy the Clown.
Stampy the Clown. Stampy, I don't know if I've seen you. I'll have to check you out.
So from Hot World, just started getting into making animatronics. What are your suggestions?
Hot World just started? I don't know. I would say get online, see what you can find. Now, when we do our episode, we'll strip it down and we'll make it simple. That's the thing about Monster Lab. I've said it on the show. We're about making it accessible because there's some people that are so amazing and you watch them, it's like, I'll never be able to do that. We strip away all that stuff and make it simple. And animatronics are no different. I think the place to start is Fright Props. Get their catalog. They have these great catalogs. And read all that information, get on the internet and look at how people are building stuff. Just plan on making it with metal. I'm not saying you absolutely have to, but if you're trying to do something savage, we learned real quick that wood was not adequate. It really welded metal, but wood could work if it's not too savage. So that's my advice. It's all out there. The information's all out there. You just gotta spend a few evenings on YouTube looking around.
Any tips on getting more exposure in one's community?
Well, you know, if you have a haunted house, that's a great place to get exposure. I think sometimes, like newspapers, the one thing about our industry that's so great, it's so visual that you can get the papers to come down and say, I got this cool stuff, show them some pictures or something, and it's weird, especially around Halloween time. They're always looking for seasonal stuff, and boy, you get in the paper, and that's like worth thousands of dollars. We were so lucky in the early days, still are. I mean, we get so much media undeservedly because the visuals are so great. We get publicity like crazy. We've been on TV and newspapers and magazines and stuff. So use the visuals, and then sometimes you can even write a story and send it in, and they probably want to write their own, but they'll see what your vibe is and the potential for a story. The real big thing's the internet now, man. If you can get a web page and start promoting it and try to make viral videos that are crazy and funny, and it's the Wild West right now. There is so much you can do. It was so hard in the past, but the combination of what the industry looks like and the internet, boy, it's easy.
We have viewers from far and wide. So we have a hello from Scotland, from Austria,
that's crazy.
And Canada.
Ha! I love Canada. I've been there once. This is the thing that really appealed to me. Adam brought up the idea of live streaming, and of course I know nothing. I can edit, but I just think it's so cool because it's like you're here live. And that's why I really want this to be interactive. A lot of times people are mostly talking and they got a spiel, but that's our Monster Labs. We handle that. We'll show you how to sculpt in Monster Labs and paint and make molds and stuff. But these live things, we want you to step into the studio and be able to talk to you live. Obviously there's a lot of people and it's not quite the same, but it's pretty darn close. The technology has made so much possible. So it's really kind of thrilling to have people from all over the place tuning in.
Let me see. So for prop and animatronic suggestions, do fans ever give you ideas?
Oh yeah, we get lots of good ideas. Now, the problem with accepting a lot of ideas is sometimes we'll look at stuff, but the problem is if you want to be paid, we're a little negligent, or not negligent, we're reluctant because people don't understand how the world works. So ideas are literally a dime a dozen. Not to be mean, that's just true. A dime a dozen. It's the work that goes into it and creating it, making it, and then producing it. And I've had people literally come to me and they've got an idea for something, and I'll say, well, what do you want for the idea? And they'll say, well, I figured we could split what you sell it for in half. Now, if the businessmen out there, I'm sure, are going, that won't work. Even when they like the studios will put together a $250 million movie and show it all over the world and make people fall in love with it, they're still only going to ask 10-12% or something, and as a percentage. But we usually don't even do percentages. We might buy the idea. Sometimes if it's not too expensive, we will give the idea person a copy of whatever the idea was.
So, from Fort Collins Escape Room, the original electric chair, what's the story behind that? Was that first made as a one-off for some project, or did you plan to do a production?
There was no planning. We were seeing what was the haunt industry was exploding, and we had a warehouse in Greeley. This was on 29th, big warehouse. So we thought we ought to do a little thing, but we didn't really want to do a full-blown haunted house. So we set up props, and they go into this dark room, and we had an electronic thing that would turn on the lights and sound and so forth. And so we did it, and it was okay. It was pretty fun. It was called Dark Museum, and but we felt like it needed a grand finale. Now, I forget who came up with the idea. I know Brainstorm Studios drew this thing, but we thought, well, that would be a good grand finale to have something. And there were animatronics at the time, nothing like this. This was different. So we did that, and then we thought, well, we got this thing, let's take it to Transworld. So we took it to Transworld that year. changed the whole industry. It went to the show and people saw this. I think what happened is they realized that it had tremendous potential from a marketing standpoint, but I think also they just wanted it because he just thrashed like crazy and smoked and screamed. And prior to that, everything was, I wouldn't say Chuck E. Cheese, it was lighthearted. Like there was a skull, there was actually a skeleton on an electric chair, Sparky, I think, but it was tongue in cheek. You know, he's a wisecracker and rah, 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 rah. And this was the first time people they knew it was going to do something when it turned on, and they would back up, and it's like, oh my God, it's just crazy. So that went out. We sold over 200 of those the first year, and they went out into the country. And what happened was the haunted houses, their attendance, I don't know, doubled, tripled, whatever, because the papers came out, word of mouth went out that they've got electric chair. And that was crazy. And that's when people, I think, collectively kind of go, I think, and this was back when haunted houses were black plastic and masks from, Kmart. And they went, so I wonder if we put more money into these things, if we could make more money. And that shifted the industry. It's not that we were brilliant. I didn't even know what we had. I just thought, well, maybe we'll sell 6 and we should take it. And it was just the right thing at the right time to spark the creativity of haunters all over the country. And so it was fun to be a part of that.
What is your favorite morbid industry item?
Boy, they have so many. The first thing that comes to mind is the bunny rabbit, because bunny rabbits are so cute normally, and this one is really horrific, but all this stuff's great. Morbid's one of those companies in the industry that's putting out fantastic stuff.
This is from Wandering Beard. What is your favorite Halloween memory as a kid?
Boy, if it goes past lunch, I get a little sketchy. Let's see.
Or monster memory, it could be.
This is so, it'll seem like so nothing, but I was a kid. I couldn't have been more than 10 or 11 or something, and I had seen Leonard Nimoy in person. My mom took me to a shopping mall, and I got to meet him during the series, but I had a fascination with this man that was over the top, really. I knew he was an actor, but it was really hard for me to separate him from that. And one Halloween, I decided to want to be Spock, so I had kind of a weird red shirt, and I did this pointed ear, and I was so excited. It's very hard to do a mortician's wax pointed ear. Those of you who do makeup, you can imagine trying to sculpt it, but I got it to look pretty good. I couldn't do the other ear. It was, I don't know, the angle or something, but I got one pointed ear, and I actually have a picture of it. I was so, things were simpler back then. Nowadays, people are like, that looks like crap, or, you didn't finish, But for me, to come close to being a monster, and I did all sorts of things. I was werewolf, Frankenstein. I did a lot of practical jokes with makeup and things, but that probably, I don't know, it just did something to me. It's it was nothing. I mean, to anybody else, it'd be like, really? But it did something inside of me. All those things kind of propelled me this direction.
So we have a question about a Monster Lab. Will we be doing a Monster Lab in the future on latex foam-filled props?
We should, and it's the thing with the foam-filled props is I need to look into trying to find the foam we use. Now, Reynolds has foam, and it's good, but it's not necessarily made to go inside of rubber, so it doesn't quite stick well. So that's probably something we need to do some research on. The people we buy it from, you get it in 50-gallon drums. It's not feasible for most people. So I don't want to give people an address and the only way they can buy it is 50-gallon drums. But we need to do some research, see if they sell to a company that sells to the end user and things. But we really should do that because you'll need that. If you want to do animatronics, you need to film a foam, a strong foam. And we use some really strong stuff. So yes, I will say that yes, and it'll probably need to be around the Mike Glover Animatronic Monster Lab.
So this is a good question from Mr. I.
Mr. I.
So when we're filming in the paint room, what's that weird stringy stuff on the wall?
That is art, dude. When we moved from Kersey to Greeley, we were scraping the walls, trying to clean up the shop, and it was that stuff. And I was looking at the floor, I was like, that's art. So I took a piece of the wall up. I'll tell you what it is in just a second, but this story is better. So I took a piece of it and I took it to Doug's frame shop or something here in town. And they framed it in a shadow box with a maroon background. And so it was in the shop a few days before we picked it up. And so when I went to pick it up, a guy comes in and he said, the shop owner goes, a guy came in here 2 days ago and he stood and stared at that thing for like 45 minutes and then he left. And then he came back the next day and he stared at it another 15 or 20 minutes and he wanted to buy it. Which is funny, but it's very odd looking, cool stuff. Basically, that's what happens after you've painted thousands of pieces with a quartz sprayer. Some of those pieces have hair. The hair flies against the wall. It makes the rope shapes. The other stalactites are just, drippings and dust and paint and it makes a really cool, weird alien looking thing. But yeah, that's what that is. It's just the walls. It's just the effect of spray painting, mostly quartz spray painting.
So Cool Cat says that their favorite animatronic is the sleeping giant.
Well, I like that, Cool Cat. We've always loved that guy.
How many of those do you think you've made?
Marcia Taub, how many we made of those guys?
Oh, I don't know the exact number, but I would say probably 20 to 30, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, we've got them down now, 20 to 30, she's saying. And we can make those pretty easily now, but it's a big project. As you can imagine, it's all heavy metal and a lot of weight and things. The cylinder that shoves him up, we've got a double bar system that the bars are angled so that as he comes up, he actually leans forward. The cylinder to push him up, I think, is 5 inch, and it's about that big around. Very, very strong, and yeah, he's cool. Yeah.
He's been around for a while. I think probably more than that even.
When you said that, I thought it was low.
I would say more around 50 in that
Probably
range.
around 50, yeah. We made a lot, and we've got a gal in, where does she live now, Nashville?
Alabama.
Alabama now, she's moved around. She sews the costumes, oh man, I can't even imagine.
Have we ever done a Monster Lab where we do a prop or show how to do a prop, paint it, that we actually are selling? So we could do, for instance, the graveyard ghoul or something like that. Do a Monster Lab on how we paint a production
that's a really good
prop.
idea. Now I did one, you might look up. It's not super instructional. It's more just to show you the workload we have, but it's, what was it called? I don't know, but I was painting desks. I painted a room of desks. And so in the corner in this corner, was the real-time paint job on him, and then high speed was going around the room and painting him. But that would be fun to show how it's done. And I'll tell you what, guys, we're not holding anything back. People were not helpful when I started this company. And back then it was very, very hard to start because there weren't all the videos and books and things. And so my attitude is, if I know it, I'm going to tell you. So if you have secrets in the industry, don't be telling Ed, because Ed's going to blab them everywhere. So whatever you want to know, I'm happy to tell you. And believe me, there is much more to know than what's in my head. But But we want to tell all, and just let us know what you want to know, and leave comments in Monster Labs. We pay attention to all that stuff. So, I don't know, maybe we ought to wrap. I think that's probably good. We don't want to go too long. I've seen some of these where they go on for hours. I don't know that I've got enough information in my head to go too long, but we did want to be able to answer your questions. I really appreciate you guys coming, and I hope you enjoyed it, and we will be doing many more on different things. Bye, everyone. Thanks for showing up.